and the man that wants his assets to be rotated.
Rotate those assets.
Wow.
Rotus Oddiri is right here with us.
That was a questionable statement.
You have to put context
You have to
in
put
this
context to
statement.
that statement of rotating the assets. Rufai, good morning to you.
Too early in the morning.
Rufai, good morning. It's Monday morning. It was Monday Monday.
So let me just clarify. It's literal.
Yes.
No, it's not euphemism. It's not a euphemism. It's
the
not trying
assets
to.
the audience will see on screen.
Yes. So
that's
assets
it.
like your video assets.
Exactly.
Just to
So please,
mention
let's
Wait, what other assets are you thinking?
let's rotate the assets.
Wait.
Let's
Vimba, you that you've been checking
Talk
out sex
business.
data over
Can
the
we
weekend.
start
What
the-
assets are you thinking?
that. Rotus will give us the sex data now.
Let's start no, before we get there, let's start with what to watch this week. So, retail sales in the U.S. This is for the U.S. Jensen Huang is speaking tomorrow at the GTC Technology Conference for NVIDIA. We get the Federal Reserve decision on Wednesday. Thursday, we get U.S. jobless claims. For the rest of the world, we try to separate them. We are getting securities purchase investment data for Canada. How much foreign securities are Canadians investing in? Tuesday, the German ZOO economic sentiment, widely watched index for sentiment in Germany. I think we're getting a vote tomorrow on that debt brake matter. South Africa and Europe on Wednesday for inflation. Thursday, Bank of England decision. Oil prices are on the up and up this morning, still hovering around that $70 region for Brent crude. West Texas still under 70. Goldman Sachs has actually cut their forecast for oil for 2025 and 2026. They're looking at Brent for 71 for 2025, 68 for 2026. West Texas, that's the North American grade, 67, 64. Trump wants lower oil. This has implications, of course, for oil producing countries across the world. Asian markets are up this morning. As you can see, a sea of green, although we have to see how long this lasts. Most of this was on the back of some positive data coming out of China. Let's quickly jump to that China data. In terms of retail sales, we saw the lunar holiday boosting retail sales in China. So 4%, it met expectations. Then you've got industrial outputs at 5.9% ahead of the estimates of 5.3. Fixed assets investments coming in ahead of that. China is also planning to boost consumption. They announced that they're going to give us the details. I think the meeting may have started already, but they say they want to increase income and consumption. They want to boost minimum wage, job market improvement. Youth in China are facing a really tepid job market, to where when they released 20% unemployment, they now stopped releasing the numbers. Further support for trading programs. You know what's been going on with the tariffs. To the U.S. markets, as far as the losses over the last 3 weeks, $5 trillion have been wiped off U.S. market cap over the last 3 weeks. It's been a really tumultuous time for the U.S. market. Scott Bessent isn't worried, though. He was on a show over the weekend where he said, I've been in investment business for 35 years. That's the U.S. Treasury Secretary. And I can tell you that corrections are healthy. They are normal. I'm not worried about the market. That's a very interesting statement. In U.S. citizens have their pensions, for example, in the U.S. markets. Over the long term, if we put good tax policy in place, deregulation and energy security, the markets will do great. I can tell you right now, the U.S. futures are pointing downwards, implying that there will continue to be negative sentiment. But the markets were up on Friday. And then to Africa. The Ethiopia Finance Ministry put out a statement on Sunday or Saturday saying that they've signed a letter of intent with the African Development Bank for a airport expansion, 7.8 billion. It would be the largest airport on the African continent. They didn't actually say how much AFDB will commit, but it's the Bishfotu International Airport project, 7.8 billion, as I said. The passenger capacity, though, they're looking at over 60 million by 2040, and Kiyome Additional was on hand to sign that. And then to Nigeria, Lagos Men. Wow. You guys, okay, just a reminder, Mo Africa is the company, the consulting firm that gave us that dirty December data that we all talked about. So I just want to remind everyone, it's the same consulting firm. And in the middle of that, there was some data on how exotic nightclubs, there was a lot of spending. So this is the new reports on physical intimacy, if you will, in 2024, and it's quite big. So if you look at the data breakdown here, you Lagos men or men in... Oh, let me read the disclaimer. Let me read that very quickly. This report aims to provide an objective analysis of Lagos' transactional physical intimacy economy, highlighting its economic scale, social dynamics, and regulatory complexities. While proponents argue that formalization could enhance worker protections, generate tax revenue, and improve public health, critics warn of increased exploitation, organized crime, and ethical concerns. The report does not take a stance, but presents the data and diverse perspectives, leaving the debate open for informed policy discussions. The report is for informational purposes only. So they did surveys, and this was essentially the breakdown. If you look to the bottom right, Lagos men apparently spent 661 billion naira on physical intimacy with non-partners. 332 billion of that went to related costs, so hotels, gifts, and so on and so forth. 329 billion of that went directly to basically sex workers, and then it shows you the transactions per, and the average, so 37,000 per average, but apparently at TOSI it's about 100,000 per average, depending on what part of the local government you are. Yeah, it's a lot. Now, where did the money go through? We talk about how Nigeria is a services economy. 51% of our economy is services, and part of that services includes physical intimacy services. So of the 329 billion that went into other things, body and skincare maintenance, 94 billion, family support, so these individuals, women were sending black tax, self-care and comfort, business and investment, some of them using the money to start businesses for themselves, and then health and education about 15.6 billion. So very interesting data there on the nighttime economy in the commercial capital of Africa's most populous nation.
It could also be daytime. I mean,
yeah, it could also be daytime, that's correct. But I think more
depending what you're
the data again.
You want the breakdown
slide.
or the last
the
one, where the money went to?
slide.
Okay, let's put up where the money went to.
I think what really shocked me the most about this is that it was the men in Alimosho, I believe, who make up the biggest percentage. They made the biggest contribution in terms of population of men who engage in these
physical intimacy activities,
in affairs, if I may call them that, outside of. Because the category was specifically interactions outside of relations with your partner.
Right.
Wow. Of which it was said that 24 of such incidents is the average number per man in Lagos. So a man is having 24 instances, according to this report, instances of extramarital or extra relationship affairs and paying for them in various ways. Anyway, having said that, it was a very juicy report. I urge people to go out there and take a look at it, especially because I'm really wondering what's happening in Alimosho. But besides that, on a serious note, though, I shared with a number of people when I came across it yesterday, and a banker friend of mine just said he questions the credibility of the report because he says, okay, this data is very difficult to verify. He also said, when was the last time we did a population census, number one, for us? So where exactly has this data been extracted from? And how have we been able to confirm and ascertain to the level, because it's extremely detailed, this report, extremely detailed. So there are questions around, yes, it's great, it's a great conversation to have, but we really do need to question, and I know you're interviewing the man who did the survey
CEO, he's coming on the
your
show.
show.
Yeah, so 11:30, tune in for
truly,
that.
how was this, we just want to know, how was this data extracted? How can we replicate it for other places in Nigeria, not necessarily just for sex workers, but there's so much other critical data, financial data that we can pull up, that we can actually use to develop and plan and also raise investment and all of that. So for me, it's really about the data collection mechanism. How was that achieved and how accurate are these numbers?
Very quickly. So there's the methodology portion of the report where they talked about a survey. But I should point out, in terms of tax revenue, they did point out that the Netherlands, for example, makes about $800 million a year in terms of tax revenue, the red light district. So the point is, an economic report looking at if government was to formalize this, well, maybe on the state level, there's tax revenue.
Well, that's why people are saying question mark, because who does it favor if the number is this high? But that's
it is what it is.
You can now see where he's been rotating the assets.
All right. Okay. So Rotus, thank you so much for bringing this up. For me, data is king, data is gold, and like you mentioned, Vimbai, we have a data challenge in Nigeria, and we're still trying to meet or mitigate that challenge by ensuring that we have proper and accurate data. What does this help to do? It helps with economic planning. If you know where people are spending their money, and that's why I was most interested in the last slide. If you know what people are spending their money on, you would also then know where to invest. So for instance, there's big business in, the last slide, there's big business in, body and skin maintenance. remember that we've often talked about the fact that there's a hidden market that I don't think has been fully exploited.
Indeed.
And it's not just where the earnings from this particular enterprise is going to.
Yeah.
A lot of other bankers, broadcasters, all industries, women and men now spend a lot of money in this. So what is the Nigerian government doing to boost the economy, to boost that? Because there's still a lot more potential for that. And it's not just for Nigeria, but the African continent. We have people who've been able to make headway, like House of Tara, the Zarons of this world, who have been able to build empires, beauty empires on this. And it's not just the market is not just Nigerian. I'll then look at self-care and comfort, business and investment, health and education. This is where people are willing to spend their money, that they make. So that's for me is what data like this does. Yes, there's a sensational part of the fact that, this is how, I hear that your money is part of this, but is this for
hey, who said that?
So just to say that this is the power, for me, for economic analysts, you then use this data to begin to make informed choices. You can, if it's verified, like you mentioned, you can take to potential investors and say, see, this is where Nigerians are spending their money.
Right.
Let us invest in this. We can guarantee you returns on your investment. That, for me, is what is very important. And then maybe perhaps this is the justification for why they said we should absorb this in the former where we're going to rebase the economy. Right. And you were making a case for that.
Thank you, Ayo. Right.
I don't agree with it still.
Right.
But you can understand the amount of money that's in this industry. I was just going to touch very quickly on the airport in Ethiopia.
Yes.
I'm saying this because this is on the African continent.
Right.
I love it for them. But I would love it for even more countries across the African continent. Rather than us building or dead on arrival airports in places that don't need them, that are non-viable, this Ethiopia has demonstrated what a hub can look like and the opportunities for countries like that. Employment opportunities, economic opportunities, and then let's begin to talk about how we can expose the African continent to more movement for goods and services, as we often talk about, in pursuant of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Indeed.
We haven't maximized it. So kudos to African Development Bank, kudos to the Ethiopian government, but let's see this recreated in other parts of Africa. It's going to be a lot of gain for them. And they are very ambitious in their numbers, 60 million, but it's achievable.
It is.
We've seen that Ethiopian Airlines is the most successful airline on the African continent.
Point, and that's I think why AFDB.
That's why they can trust them. Can we replicate that? Nigeria is a giant of Africa. Can we replicate that? So just to mention a few things.
An amazing deal, I must have to say. Kudos to AFDB. Kudos to Dr. Adeshino, for championing this.
Who you interviewed? Your special interview with him.
But by the way, I think he's also going to get one of the highest civilian honors today in Kenya. But it just shows that government can work.
Indeed.
Ethiopia Airlines is owned by government. Rotus, what happened to Nigeria Airways?
Remember that last administration?
What happened
said the deal was in Ethiopia.
The next thing, look at Mr. Hadi Sirika and Nigeria Air.
Right.
It's also, you can now see that we are just a bunch of womblers and fumblers here. We miss the real point where you can actually, and this Ethiopia Airline is a testament to those that say government business is not in business. It's not true. If you have effective management and things are properly run, you can actually get results. And that's why they're getting results. I think the expansion is around the Bola International Airport.
Correct,
and you can see what they're doing with it. They're fast becoming a hub. Where's Murtala Mohammed going to be? We keep hearing we want to be a hub, we want to be a hub, we want to be a hub. As regards Germany, I'm excited, as regards this increase in defense spending. It's going to come up, for a vote. But Frederick Merz has gotten the buy-in of the Greens Party on that. So let's see how that pans out in the coming days, for them. And Canada, you are also going to see that index because the very first thing Mark Carney has done is to be able to pull out those carbon taxes. Although Pierre Poilievre came out to say that, no, it's signed into law. He's just pulling it out because he wants to win election. So there's that debate back and forth. Let's see how it pans out. Indeed. But because of the shenanigans of Trump, you've seen, the Liberals gotten up in the numbers as regards the election. As regards the sex economy, I'm always excited about the data. So
you're excited, eh?
You know what? Yeah, I'm excited about the data.
Just play.
I mean, sex is good.
It's healthy. It's exercise.
Yeah, it's part of human life. Yeah, so, but the most important thing we should pick out from this data set, and I was surprised I also interrogated, being a pastor's wife, that this was extracurricular sex.
Yes.
And Vimba, so you can see two married women get excited about it.
I was so excited.
It's data, they talk about the data.
Analyzing the reality in our society.
I was excited about that. I just said where people are paid spending their money, and it can apply to many industries.
Yes.
But what we want to dig out is this. there's a vast industry around this.
Of course.
Yeah. So the morality of it, I will question because I believe in one man with his spouse.
Preach
Right.
it.
You know, I don't
Amen.
believe in,
Yeah.
you know, after, and for those that have religious injunction that they can marry more than one wife,
Yeah.
it should be with their wives, not other concubines.
Right,
You know,
right,
but
right.
some people would object.
Right.
But that's my own
Personal, yeah, I get you.
moral personal
Yeah,
standing.
yeah.
But it could be even underreported. It could be way
be
more
higher.
than that. Because what I didn't see this data do is I wanted to get introspection of the amount politicians play in these two.
You're right. They should do
slay
one for
mamas.
Abuja. Abuja will be big.
Abuja is also
Yeah.
going to be
Now
another
Abuja will
one.
be pretty
You know, wait, please. I'm
The person that has money that does this.
Yeah, please.
And
So
you know
the
what
role
money-
politicians play.
Yes.
Also, I also want to see the interplay of this data, slay mamas and Lekki residential apartments.
Hey, gosh. There's a correlation.
Yes,
I
there's a
see you there.
correlation.
There's a correlation.
Also, I want to see the interplay of this, you know, and how the wealth now goes back to different villages in parts of the country.
Right, right.
I also want to see the interplay, you know, as regards things like protection sales.
Right.
Or medical test sales.
Right, right.
Or hospital sales.
So health education.
Health
yeah.
education and all of that.
Yeah.
So, also, I want to see this with sex toys and dildo industry
Just making one
and
senator
sector.
excited or former senator.
You get so because
It's
I mean
manufacturing. That's a manufacturing story.
there was a story of a senator that went to a sex toy shop
And the video caught him
and
there.
the video
That was in Abuja.
Even went to fights there.
Yeah.
So we want to also see how that goes, you know, and we also want to see, you know, the industry around. No, please, Ozzy, I'm not mentioning names. We all just want to see, you know, the industry around how this also relates to the auto industry.
Right.
The cars they buy for the slave mamas.
Right.
You know, the vehicle dealers.
Right.
And what is going on
flights,
as Gaza.
There's also flights.
I
as well.
also want to see
Yeah.
how this money extrapolates to the payment of tithe and offering
In the
by
church.
these slave mamas.
The money flows through.
You get-
It flows through the economy. It
So,
flows.
you know, somebody was telling me about the Lambo scenario.
Yeah, that Lambo thing
You
was
know,
big. Yeah.
Sophie Lambo.
Yes.
No,
You
but
know,
this data for church would be how to channel our prayers.
yes, because I want
And
to see
the
that
seminars
data.
that we
Because you
should-
cannot tell me that part of this data is not going to offering and tithe.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
it flows.
there are a lot of many data flows. So
Money
please,
supply.
your work is still plenty. There's
Yeah.
money supply, it's economy.
Yeah.
You know, maybe some people should start. And also,
Yeah.
we want to see the highest earning slave mamas or the slave associations.
Right.
Slave boys.
Right.
You know, is it Lekki?
Yes.
Is it Alimosho? Is it the highest earning?
Yeah.
If they can even put a name to it.